Hi, my name is Sasha, and it's pretty random video about Mary&George. So I watched Mary&George mostly because of Nicholas Galitzin. I low-key had a crush on him. I need to say that I love something historical, and I love queer stories. I made a big mistake thinking that it's probably mostly fiction. It is biggest mistake that I could have made. I watch it as a full fiction, and because of that, I'm not really fully understand the story. Cause I ended watching this. I sent a message to my friend who planning to watch the show. I sent her a message saying that I'm not fully understood the story and or who was in the middle of the story or what was the purpose. Cause I kind of felt like it is out of context, kinda like we just saw different, I can say different timelines, but there was pretty big jumps in time, especially at last like 4 episodes, and I don't feel like George's story was fully unwrapped. Maybe no one's story, on my personal opinion, was fully unwrapped. And yeah, I was like really confused by the ending. Maybe I felt like there's so much left behind, left unsaid. And yeah, I was like, okay, maybe I'm too stupid. But then I learned that George Villiers, how to pronounce his surname, was actual person in British history, and like and James and Mary and everyone probably in the story, most of them was a real people, and it suddenly helped me understand the story. At least I understood like the plot, because if it was a fiction, I would say it's strange fiction story, but as historical, something based on history, at least maybe not like fully um correct. Maybe I don't know. I like history, but I'm from another country. History of my country is really long, and yeah, we barely learn anything about other countries here. So I didn't ever heard about James the First, and apparently his homosexual tendencies, and it's definitely not something that people will learn at schools. But yeah, it make a lot of sense. So hopefully, everyone who watched this show better educated than me. But I actually wanted to talk about one thing, and I just watching this thinking that it's historical fiction. I've told people might hate the show because it was so much about sex, uh, and especially homosexual sex. Uh, but I think it is pretty accurate, because in my personal opinion, like back in the days, few centuries ago, I think people saw sexuality really different. I think back at the times, like sex was not connected to feelings. Now, for some people, sex is definitely not connected to feelings. But I would say people were like easier with things like that. Something like it's natural, it's something your body wants, so like just go for it. I feel like it was the point, like until maybe 19th, 20th century, maybe even more closer to our days. But another thing that I was thinking watching the show is that I'm from Russia, and one thing that I kind of know about Russian history is that we kind of copied homophobia from Europe. So until I believe 17th century, Russia wasn't homophobic. Um, there's numerous of I don't know how to better say it, but like Western scientists or something like that. notes about visiting like Russia back in the days, and they most of them will comment about how we here have no like hate or prejudice towards homosexual relationship, maybe not like families and stuff, but just like a sex and desires, like it's completely okay in Russia while it was not okay in Europe, where I put full blame on Christianity, uh, and how Russia actually become homophobic, I believe, under Peter the first emperor of Russia, and he was huge fan of Europe and changed and shaped Russian Empire a lot, making us more European like. And yeah, he basically, like, I believe, takes some European laws, especially about military, and I think we copied it from German something. Germany still not exist as a country at that moment, but like more like smaller states, or it was Austrian-Hungary allow about like forbidding homosexuality in the military, and yeah, it was penalty was a death, and we copied the shit, and that's basically how now we're stuck in this race. If you know anything about Russia, and Europe finally like okay and not homophobic, and we still homophobic, but back in the days, but we're talking about like 13th 14th centuries, it was completely okay in Russia and not completely okay in Europe. And this is thing that is kind of make this weird for me, because like knowing this, I feel like maybe there was too much open homosexuality in the show. But there's another thing, which is can be like James obviously a king, and king allowed do anything he wants. It might be something like I can do that, but others people not. So maybe it wasn't really okay for just like general public in Europe, but it was okay for the king. So this is something that kinda rubbed me wrong in the story. So how that's work? That's what my question. But I do think that people was definitely more at ease back in the days. Just like education was on a different level, people self life differently. So yeah, bodies are bodies, as was said quite a few times in this show, and I think it's pretty accurate for that period of time, even for now, but like for that period of time, definitely. And even though, from my perspective, as a low-key asexual, pansexual, and just like person who live without a relationship my whole life, I I still think it's like really really accurate, and how sex is really something that can get you somewhere when you want. How people can weaponize their bodies and sex and desires of other people. It's still working in a modern days a lot, and I think it was even crazier back in the days at some point. Like it's debatable. I think it's like whole big topic about where it was crazier, like in somewhere in 17th century or like in 21st century. But show is really really good. And when I finally learned that it is kind of maybe biography TV show, it suddenly makes a lot of sense. But another thing that I still have a lot to learn about James the First and George and Mary. I still not really explored the full topic, but I kind of feel like some people might say and write article about how like there was love between James and George, and I don't think, judging by the show, there was any. Maybe from James, but I still have so much question about George, cause maybe maybe he just become like really corrupted with time. Maybe he did had the feelings for George at some period of time. Maybe not from the very beginning. At the beginning, it probably was more like a game, like he have a goal. Um, he tried to reach like specific level, and maybe already being with James, he might develop some feelings for him. But at the end, like he literally killed James. I think he become like really, really corrupted, and just time flies. And just like was in the show when he wasn't really in the idea of like marrying this girl and like having children with her. But at the end, I felt like yeah, he did enjoy it. Like they had children, they live in a palace together. And I think it's really, really interesting story, especially knowing that it was like reality. Being born low level, he definitely wasn't a peasant, but he was like probably like at the bottom level of any, I don't know how to say it, like let's say like somewhere like lower class, and climb all the way up to actually rule the country for some period of time. I actually feel really, really sad that he did become so corrupted and started this numerous of wars, eventually killed James and died on a murder. Um, it is sad, like, but it is what it's probably why it's like it's a real story. It's probably what make it real, because I think if it was story when he just become a really close to James, just like his consort or something, it's going to be like a fiction. Like happy endings are for fiction. Like real stories not really have a happy endings. I need to learn more about Mary, and if there's more information about Mary, uh, because was it? I mean, I love lesbian representation. Oh my god, yes. I think we see them less than a gays on the screens, so I'm here for it. And the actress who played, was it named Sandy? I just like finished it watching like 2 weeks ago. Uh, she's like so pretty. Like I like her a lot. Sadly, her story was, I would say, one of the saddest, because yeah, she was known. I think she was loved by Mary, but at the same time used by her, and she died for it. She done so much for this family, not being part of this family. Like she deserved better than being just like sliced. It is sad. I'm really sad for her. I even I mean watching the show because of Nicholas basically paying a lot of attention to George, and he's kind of main character. I can say I felt sorry for him, because in last episodes he just becomes so much different that you cannot care for him. I felt sorry for James. I think at least how he was represented in the show, I think he was pretty soft ruler. Like it was said a few times that he's really pacifistic king, and I love pacifistics people. Like it's the best. No war, only love. Um, I feel sad for him, but yeah, at the end, you know what? I got a feeling at the end that Mary won. Like it wasn't about George; it was about her. She she's the winner. She's still alive. She have a title. She like have a palace, money. All of I think all of her children at the end are married to good people, like on specific class, having children and everything. So I think Mary is a winner, and maybe Mary, and since like Mary was behind all of this, George actually go through so many arcs in this show. At the beginning, being like second born, in love with a maiden girl, uh, and she wasn't even pretty. And like, sorry to say that, but she wasn't even pretty. Like Nicholas Golitsyn is so fucking beautiful. And the girl of like his love interest at the beginning, she's not really. I mean, I'm really sorry. I know I'm not pretty as well, but like it just like didn't work for me. Like as Mary said in a show, like if she had his looks, she ruled the fucking planet. Nicholas is really really beautiful. So I think even as a George, and as a George in the 17th century, not really having money and power, I still think he will like land himself someone better. Sorry to say that, but being this like completely like in love, full without having some like big goals, being like completely pushed by his mother to become this like completely different person. It is really interesting because like George in first episode completely, I would say, weak and emotional, and like don't know what to do with his life, hate an idea of going to France and like learn about how to be more like a, I don't know, knight kinda person. Actually coming back, being like knowing that he's good looking, knowing that he's strong, knowing that he can do some like greater stuff, that he's not just nobody, he can become somebody. uh Actually becoming a knight, actually becoming a seer and like Duke of Buckingham, I believe. um Started to like collect titles, being on a court in a palace with a king, going to Scotland with him, uh, actually becoming someone, actually obtaining power. I think like this type of George, my favorite one, and then fast becoming corrupted, like too much power, too much freedom that James give him, too much money and everything. From that moment, I didn't like where the story going. I didn't like this George, and but I still need to say that I appreciated his help. But was it Charles, Prince Charles, uh, in Spain, trying to like marry, getting married to like this Spanish princess. I did appreciate his stare, and I feel like he developed connection towards Charles as well, and polygamy in this show. Oh my god! Uh, and still, I think it was the case for basically mostly anyone back in the days. It is like there is so much to think about, so much difference from our current modern world. Please don't make my mistake. Know that this show is actually based on a real story. I need to learn more about all of these characters, and I saw an interview of Nick and Tony and others and Julian. Uh, they say that plot, or at least they kind of based their characters on a king, on a book, King's Assassin. Uh, I might have. I'm thinking about reading the book as well. I don't know. I still need to read Red, White, and Royal Blue. Everything connected to Nicholas Galitzin. Uh, but it's an interesting part of the history. I think people, we are not really talking about this part of history. But like obviously queer people were always part of our history. They always existed. And just knowing these like facts about royalty and how might have queer people become like big historical figure. Because I'm not really still sure about George being queer. I don't know. I think it was just like easier back in the days. I easily can see how George was straight, just using his body. By the way, this reminded me that we had a similar story here in Russia. I believe somewhere in like 13th century, 14th century. I don't remember what knyaz it was. But yeah, um, some of our Russian rulers had apparently a long relationship with a male. Uh, so it is pretty common. Actually, I feel wrong giving it 8 out of 10, but it might change. I still might give it like bigger um, rating because it is so good shot. Uh, Costumes, locations, so good. Casting was brilliant in my opinion. Um, Tony, I probably cannot pronounce his surname correctly. I think he was such a believable king, and looked like one from all these like paintings that we have. And his accent, oh my god, I love his accent. I watched some interviews of him, and I love how he sounds. What type of accent is that? I don't think it's just like a regular British accent. Is it something like more Scottish? I'm not sure. Sorry, but I definitely love how he sounds. I hope more people see the show, learn something new, become more interested in history. I hope to see more shows like that in future, or movies, because there's definitely more historical figure to explore through this part of their lives, something that we're not really talk a lot about. And yes, it was really random video at 1 a.m. Friday night. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did and become interested in the topic. And actually, if you didn't know, maybe I'm just like the one stupid person who watched that show, not knowing anything about this story. Um, yeah, thank you for watching. Um, Hope you enjoyed the show, and yeah, maybe see you later. Bye.